Good morning, everybody. I want to go ahead and share with you our next session in Reader's Workshop, and this is session 3, and the title is Readers Notice Similarities in Their Characters Across a Series. So, as you look at the two series on the screen, I want you to think, if you are familiar with these books, what you know about them, what you remember about who the characters are, what the characters are like, and what happens, what are some of the things that happen in these books. Here's another 2 series. We have Mercy Watson and A to Z Mysteries. If you're familiar with these, what do you remember about these characters, what they're like, what goes on in the books? I have a few more series. We have The Weird School, Mr. Putter and Tabby, and Nancy Drew. What do you know about these characters? What are they like? What happens in these different series? And we have Biscuit and Henry and Mudge. What do you know about those books, those characters? And so today I want to teach you that when you read a bunch of books across a series, sometimes you'll notice things about the character that are the same in book after book. And that's part of the fun of a series. So we're going to move into Epic, and I have Frog and Toad, and this is Frog and Toad Are Friends. And I want to go through the chapter that is called Spring. And I'm just going to summarize the story and then talk about what I know about the characters. So this chapter is Spring, and Frog is raring to go, and he goes up to Toad's house and he knocks on the door and he doesn't answer, and Frog is shouting, "Toad, Toad, wake up!" And inside he hears a voice that's, not awake yet. And Frog persists in trying to wake Toad up. He tells him the sun is shining, the snow is melting, wake up. And Toad says he's not here. And well, Frog just walks in and the house is dark, the shutters are closed, and Frog is calling, "Toad, where are you?" And he hears, "Go away," said the voice from a corner of the room. Toad was still in bed. He had pulled all the covers over his head. Well, Frog was having none of that, and he pushed him out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad's eyes were blinking sleepily in the bright sun, and Toad couldn't even see anything. And Frog said, "Don't be silly. What you see is the clear, warm light of April, and it means that we can begin a whole new year together. Think of it. We'll skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim in the river. In the evenings, we'll sit right here on the front porch and count the stars." "You can count them, Frog," said Toad. "I'll be too tired. I'm going back to bed." Hard to believe. Well, Toad goes back into the house. He gets into bed, pulls the covers over his head, and Frog tries again. He says, "You're going to miss all the fun." And Toad says, "Listen, Frog, how long have I been asleep?" "You've been sleeping since November," he told him. "Well then," said Toad, "a little more sleep will not hurt me. Come back again and wake me up at about 1/2 May. Good night, Frog." But Frog says, "Toad, I'll be lonely until then." However, Toad didn't answer because he'd fallen asleep. And then Frog looks at Toad's calendar. It still shows November, so he tore off November. Then he tore off December and January and February and March and April. And look, you can see he's tearing off all those pages and they're falling on the floor. Then Frog ran back to Toad's bed. Toad, Toad, wake up. It's May now. What? Said Toad. Can it be May so soon? Yes, said Frog. Look at your calendar. Toad looked at the calendar. The May page was on the top. Why, it is May, said Toad as he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see how the world was looking in the spring. And that's the end of that chapter. And so as I just think about what was going on in that chapter, I'm noticing how poor Toad, he did not want to get up. And poor Frog was trying, he was the doer, trying to get Toad to get out of bed so they could have some fun playtime together. And it makes me think, in other Frog and Toad books, I noticed that Toad has been the one who's just kind of lazy or wants to stay in bed. We've seen that before with the messy room, and we saw before Frog was helping to help motivate him to clean. So my idea is, across this series, Toad sometimes is the one who's lazy, doesn't want to do anything, and Frog is the friend who motivates him and gets him to do things, and then they have a great time together. So that's what I noticed. It's one thing I noticed about how Frog and Toad are similar across more than just this one book or just this chapter. Now, whatever series you are reading, you're going to notice the similar things, that the characters won't change very much from book to book. And so the more you read, the more you're really learning about that character. So readers, what I want you to focus on now is that when you start another book in a same series, you can expect a lot of that book to be the same. And I want you to mark those places or make note of those things that you find in your books. Mark it with a stop and jot, and you'll be able to discuss with us later. So readers, off you go.